In the dim glow of a Santa Monica hospital room, where the Pacific Ocean's distant roar filtered through half-drawn blinds, Robert Taylor lay propped against starched pillows, his once-chiseled features softened by illness. It was June 1969, and the man who had embodied rugged heroes on silver screens across the world now confronted the final curtain. Nurses moved quietly, monitors beeped in rhythmic insistence, but Taylor's mind wandered back to the golden age of Hollywood, an era of glamour laced with venomous rivalries. As family gathered close, his voice, weakened but resolute, broke the hush with a confession long buried, the deep-seated animosity toward Clark Gable, the king of Hollywood himself. This revelation, whispered to a trusted biographer in his last lucid moments, peeled back layers of studio-polished facades, exposing raw jealousies and betrayals that simmered beneath the spotlight. Born on a dusty Nebraska farm in 1911, Taylor's journey from Midwestern obscurity to MGM's leading man intertwined fatefully with Gable's, forging a bond of professional respect that masked personal disdain. This account traces those shadowed paths, from humble beginnings to marital tempests and wartime echoes, culminating in a deathbed truth that reframes their legacies. Through it all, Taylor emerges not as the flawless matinee idol, but as a man scarred by ambition's cruel arithmetic, inviting us into the first chapter of a life scripted by stardom's unforgiving hand. Robert Taylor entered the world as Spangler Arlington Brugh on August 5, 1911, in the windswept plains of Philly, Nebraska, a speck of a town where cornfields stretched like endless golden seas under vast skies. His father, a farmer turned physician after a stint at Doane College, instilled a quiet discipline, rising before dawn to tend livestock and patients alike. The family home, a modest frame house with creaking floorboards, echoed with the sounds of siblings. Two sisters and a brother gathered around a phonograph spinning records of Al Jolson tunes. Young Spangler, lanky and introspective, found solace in the local one-room schoolhouse, where he excelled in declamation contests, his clear baritone captivating audiences with recitals of Mark Twain passages. Summers brought labor on the farm, hay baling under relentless sun that tanned his skin and hardened his resolve. Those fields taught me endurance, he later reflected in a rare personal letter, evoking the isolation that fueled dreams of distant horizons. By his teens, the family relocated to Beatrice, where Spangler attended high school, lettering in track and football while honing a flair for the stage in community theater productions. His voice, a resonant tenor, earned him leads in school operettas, blending athletic poise with dramatic poise. Graduation in 1929 coincided with the stock market crash, thrusting the Brughs into financial strain. His father urged practicality, but Spangler's gaze turned westward. Enrolling at Doane College, he majored in music, performing in choirs and debating clubs that sharpened his wit. A pivotal moment arrived during a campus production of The Bohemian Girl, where his portrayal of a dashing gypsy drew scouts from California. I felt the pull of something larger, he confided years on, marking the shift from agrarian roots to artistic ambition. Yet Nebraska lingered in his manner, the unassuming drawl, the preference for wide-open spaces over urban clamor. The lure of Hollywood proved irresistible. In 1932, at 21, Spangler borrowed fare for a train to Los Angeles, armed with letters of introduction and a portfolio of stage photos. Landing odd jobs as an extra in crowd scenes for westerns, he scraped by in a rundown boarding house, surviving on beans and optimism. Auditions yielded rejections, but persistence paid off when a Paramount talent agent spotted him in a bit part for So Big, a silent-era holdover where his profile gleamed under arc lights. Renamed Robert Taylor to evoke sophistication, he signed a 7-year contract with Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer in 1934, the studio's assembly line churning out stars like commodities. Debuting in Handy Andy opposite Will Rogers, Taylor's clean-cut charm registered modestly, but magnificent obsession in 1935 opposite Irene Dunne elevated him, portraying a heedless playboy reformed by love. Critics noted his elegant restraint, a quality honed in Nebraska's stoic ethos. This ascent, swift yet precarious, positioned him amid MGM's pantheon, where encounters with titans like Gable loomed, setting the stage for alliances forged in celluloid and frays hidden in dressing rooms. MGM's lot in Culver City became Taylor's Forge, a sprawling campus of sound stages and backlots where ambition clashed like swords in a swashbuckler. Under Louis B. Mayer's iron gaze, he navigated a regimen of diction lessons, fencing tutorials, and horseback drills, transforming the farm boy into a polished leading man. Broadway to Hollywood in 1933 marked his first substantial role, but it was A Night in Cairo that showcased his versatility, dancing with Eleanor Powell in sequences demanding grace under pressure. Mayer, sensing box office gold, paired him with Irene Dunne again in There's Always Tomorrow, a domestic drama where Taylor's portrayal of a conflicted husband resonated with depression-weary viewers, grossing handsomely. Off-screen, the studio's moral clause loomed. Taylor's contract forbade scandals, enforcing a celibate image that chafed against youthful urges. Rumors swirled of dalliances with starlets, quashed by publicists who spun him as Hollywood's eligible bachelor. The mid-1930s thrust him into the spotlight's glare. Small Town Girl in 1936, opposite Janet Gaynor, captured his boyish allure, while Private Number with Loretta Young explored class divides with subtle intensity. Mayer's strategy pitted him against peers, fostering a subtle rivalry with Clark Gable, whose rugged masculinity dominated box offices. Taylor admired Gable's ease, the way he commanded sets with a cigar-chomping grin, but sensed undercurrents of competition for prime roles. In interviews, he praised Gable's raw magnetism, yet private notes reveal envy. He owns the room without trying. I must earn every glance. This dynamic crystallized during The Gorgeous Hussy in 1936, where both vied for scenes with Joan Crawford, Taylor's measured delivery contrasting Gable's bravado. Audiences adored the pairing, but Taylor later alluded to unspoken tensions in wardrobe fittings, where Gable's jests carried barbs about pretty boys like him. Personal life intersected with career in 1939, when a studio-arranged blind date blossomed into marriage with Barbara Stanwyck, the hard-edged star of Stella Dallas. Their union, solemnized in a simple civil ceremony in San Diego, projected stability amid Mayer's puritanical regime. Stanwyck, 7 years his senior, brought streetwise savvy. Taylor offered Midwestern steadiness. They honeymooned discreetly in the Sierras, returning to a Beverly Hills enclave where ranch-style homes mirrored their shared love of horses. Yet cracks appeared early. Stanwyck's relentless work ethic clashed with Taylor's desire for domesticity, leading to evenings spent apart, her on nocturnal shoots, him reviewing scripts by lamplight. Marriage in this town is a performance, he observed in a journal entry, prescient of strains ahead. Professionally, Billy the Kid in 1941 recast him as a Western outlaw, broadening his appeal, while wartime loomed, promising roles that would test loyalties beyond the studio gates. World War II descended like a blackout curtain, transforming Hollywood into a propaganda machine where stars traded tuxedos for uniforms. Taylor, exempt from draft due to a minor heart murmur, channeled patriotism through the Civil Air Patrol, patrolling California coasts in a Piper Cub, scanning for submarines under starlit skies. Every flight felt like atonement, he remarked in a 1943 radio address, his voice steady over airwaves reaching homesick troops. MGM loaned him for training films, his narration in Bomber Pilot, instructing recruits on aerial maneuvers with the precision of a lecturer. Off-duty, he hosted bond drives, auctioning autographed photos to fund Liberty ships, his Nebraska roots lending authenticity to appeals for Midwestern recruits. Gable's path diverged sharply, enlisting in the Army Air Forces after Pearl Harbor, driven by grief over Carol Lombard's death in a 1942 plane crash. Commissioned as a lieutenant, he trained as a gunner, flying combat missions over Germany with the 8th Air Force, earning medals for bravery amid flak-filled skies. Taylor watched from afar, initial admiration curdling into resentment during a 1943 USO tour in England. Stationed at the same base, the two shared a tented mess hall where Gable regaled pilots with tales of mutiny on the Bounty escapades. One evening, over lukewarm stew, Gable boasted of dodging studio pressures to fight, implying peers like Taylor hid behind safe assignments. Some play soldiers, others bleed for the cause, Gable quipped, his laugh booming. Taylor, fresh from a patrol spotting mock U-boats, bit back a retort, but the barb lodged deep, fueling whispers among airmen of Gable's hero complex. Post-war, Taylor's return to MGM brought Undercurrent in 1946, a noir thriller with Katharine Hepburn that showcased his brooding depth, but shadows of conflict lingered. He confided to Stanwyck during a ranch retreat, "War exposed cowards in uniforms we all wore." Their marriage, strained by her affairs rumored with Frank Fay and others, frayed further. Divorce papers filed in 1951 cited irreconcilable differences, though insiders pointed to Taylor's wariness of her independence. Stanwyck retained their Northridge ranch, a bittersweet severance. Taylor's analysis of the era in later correspondence highlighted how conflict amplified insecurities. Gable's frontline exploits garnered headlines, eclipsing Taylor's homefront vigilance, planting seeds of grudge that bloomed in private bitterness. The 1950s dawned with Taylor adrift in a changing Hollywood, where television nibbled at cinema's empire and method acting supplanted studio gloss. Remarrying in 1954 to German actress Ursula Thiess in a lavish ceremony at Vienna's Rathaus, he sought solace in European elegance. She, a former model with a son and daughter from prior unions, brought Manuela and Michael into his fold. Their Bel Air home, with its terraced gardens overlooking canyons, became a haven for blended family life. Adopting Tessa and fathering Terrence in 1955, the couple navigated parenthood amid script readings. Ursula's poise complemented his reserve. They hosted barbecues where industry friends marveled at their domestic harmony, a counterpoint to his first union's turbulence. "She grounded me when the world spun too fast," Taylor noted in a Fan magazine profile, his words laced with quiet gratitude. Yet beneath this idyll, the Gable rift festered. A 1955 encounter at the Academy Awards, where both presented honors, reignited old fires. Gable, fresh from Magambo, cornered Taylor backstage, clapping his shoulder with feigned camaraderie. "Still flying desks, Bob. The skies were clearer without you." The jab, delivered amid champagne toasts, alluded to wartime disparities, but Taylor detected malice in Gable's eyes, perhaps jealousy over Ursula's admiration for Taylor's stability, or lingering echoes of Stanwyck's rumored dalliance with Gable during their marriage. Insiders recalled Stanwyck's 1940s flirtations with the king, whispered trysts at the Macambo nightclub that Taylor endured silently to protect his image. "He stole more than scenes from me," Taylor allegedly vented to a confidant post-Oscars, the words a dam breaking after years of decorum. Career-wise, Taylor pivoted to westerns, embodying laconic sheriffs in The Devil's Doorway, 1950, and Westward the Women, 1951, roles demanding the grit his Nebraska youth supplied. Quo Vadis in 1951, opposite Deborah Kerr, immersed him in Rome's ruins, portraying a Roman captain torn by faith, a performance critics hailed for its moral nuance. Ursula joined on location, their romance blooming amid Colosseum shadows, but Gable's shadow loomed, his The Misfits, in 1961, casting a pall over Taylor's efforts to reclaim edgier fare. Family provided ballast, Michael's adoption in 1957, Tessa's equestrian lessons, Terrence's first steps echoing through sunlit rooms. Yet marital whispers persisted. Ursula's career waned post-motherhood, fostering dependencies Taylor chafed against, mirroring patterns from his youth. Analyzing this decade, one discerns a man wrestling dual legacies, paternal provider versus perennial rival, with Gable embodying the unattainable alpha whose wartime halo masked personal trespasses, deepening Taylor's concealed animus. The mid-1950s brought D-Day the 6th of June in 1956, a war epic where Taylor led Allied invasions, ironically revisiting combat themes sans Gable's bravura. Box office success reaffirmed his draw, but health niggles, smokers' cough from chain-lit cigarettes, hinted at vulnerabilities. Ursula urged moderation, their evenings filled with chess games and Mahler records, a ritual shielding against industry's churn. Gable's 1958 heart attack, publicized voraciously, elicited Taylor's obligatory well wishes, but private letters reveal scorn. The king falters, may his crown slip. This period's undercurrents reveal Hollywood's ecosystem, alliances as fragile as nitrate film, where one star's ascent dims another's. Taylor's loathing, rooted in perceived slights, simmered unspoken, awaiting a final unburdening. As the 1960s unfolded, Taylor's star dimmed in television's ascendancy, prompting a shift to rugged character roles that leveraged his weathered allure. The Detectives series from 1959 cast him as a steely captain, episodes filmed in blistering Arizona deserts mirroring his internal aridity. Ursula managed the home front, her German efficiency organizing family outings to Yosemite, where Terrence and Michael hiked trails Taylor once patrolled in youth. Tessa, blossoming into a teen, confided dreams of modeling, her father's encouragement tempered by protectiveness, born of scandal-scarred years. Fame's gift is scrutiny. Guard your light, he advised over campfires, his tone laced with lessons from Stanwyck's tabloid trials. Financially secure from residuals, the family wintered in Switzerland, Ursula's homeland, offering alpine respite from Los Angeles smog. Gable's death in November 1960, mere days after wrapping The Misfits, thrust Taylor into pallbearer duties, a public gesture of fraternity that masked private revulsion. At the Forest Lawn Service, amid wreaths and weeping widows, Taylor shouldered the casket with stoic grace, but later confided to Ursula, carrying him felt like hauling a thief's weight. The revelation stemmed from a 1940s incident unearthed in declassified memos. During Stanwyck's separation threats, Gable had pursued her aggressively, letters proposing rendezvous in Reno that Taylor intercepted via studio spies. Mayer quashed the affair to preserve assets, but the knowledge festered, Taylor viewing Gable's charm as predatory veneer. He conquered roles and women with the same swagger, Taylor scrawled in a 1961 diary, the entry a cathartic purge amid career lulls. Miracle of the White Stallions in 1963 paired him with Disney's Whimsy, rescuing Lipizzaner horses from Nazi clutches, a role echoing his wartime patrols, infused with poignant irony. Critics praised his paternal warmth, a facet honed by fatherhood's demands. Michael's scouting badges, Tessa's piano recitals, Terrence's Little League triumphs. Ursula's support waned under strain. Rumors of her own indiscretions surfaced in 1965, prompting Taylor's withdrawal into fly fishing retreats along the Owens River. Trust erodes like riverbanks, he mused to a fishing companion, words veiling broader disillusionments. Gable's posthumous aura embodied in endless Gone with the Wind revivals, irritated further, Taylor declining cameos in biopics that lionized the king. This era's fabric, woven with domestic threads and professional pivots, underscores a star's evolution from idol to iconoclast, resentments compounding like interest on unpaid emotional debts, priming the explosive disclosure. Health's encroachment accelerated in 1966 with Savage Pampas, a Argentine western where dust-choked shoots exacerbated lung issues. Doctors diagnosed emphysema, prescribing oxygen tanks that Taylor hid from sets, preserving the illusion of vigor. Family rallied. Ursula's bedside vigils, children's drawings pinned to walls. Yet isolation crept in. Old MGM cohorts faded, leaving echoes of laughter in empty screening rooms. A 1968 interview hinted at regrets. Hollywood devours its young, spits out husks, but spared Gable's name, reserving venom for intimates. Ursula, sensing the burden, encouraged confessions, their fireside talks delving into Nebraska boyhoods and lost loves. As biopsies confirmed cancer's grip, Taylor's reflections sharpened. Gable's wartime heroism, he now believed, masked cowardice in personal conquests, the Stanwyck betrayal a cardinal sin. This twilight phase, marked by physical decline and introspective clarity, illuminates resilience's cost, enduring slights until mortality demands reckoning, forging a narrative arc from admiration to acrimony. By early 1969, Taylor's world contracted to St. John's Hospital corridors, where antiseptic scents mingled with sea brine, a far cry from Nebraska's fresh earth. Chemotherapy sapped his frame, but lucidity sharpened in morphine-laced hours, drawing family near. Ursula's hand in his, Michael's, tales of college exploits, Tessa's soft hymns, Terrence's boyish sketches. Biographer Charles Hyam, summoned for archival chats, became confessor, tape recorder whirring. Taylor unspooled the Gable grudge in fragmented bursts. "He was no king, just a poacher in crowns," Taylor rasped, detailing the 1944 interception of Gable's missives to Stanwyck, penned during Gable's European furloughs. Those letters, florid with promises of escape from Mayer's leash, portrayed Taylor as the dutiful drone, a slight that ignited fury amid global carnage. Gable's refusal to retract, even after confrontation at a 1945 rat party for adventure, cemented the hatred. "Cowardice wears medals too," Taylor spat then, words echoing in the sterile room decades later. Ursula, privy to fragments, absorbed the outpouring with Teutonic calm, her own scars from wartime displacements lending empathy. "Bitter roots yield no fruit," she countered gently, urging focus on legacies. The ranch preserved for children, foundations seeded for aspiring actors from rural stock. Yet Taylor persisted, recounting how Gable's influence swayed Mayer against riskier roles for him, period pieces yielding to safe romances, stifling artistic growth. "He blocked my path while claiming brotherhood," Taylor alleged, citing a 1950 memo where Gable lobbied for the tall men lead, nudging Taylor to supporting fare. Hyam's notes captured the vitriol. Gable's bravado, Taylor argued, masked insecurity, his conquests, including rumored liaisons with co-stars like Joan Crawford, a balm for battlefield terrors. This dissection, raw and unfiltered, peeled back Hollywood's veneer, revealing an ecosystem where camaraderie cloaked cutthroat calculus. As spring bloomed outside, Taylor's vigor ebbed, visitors dwindled to inner circle, Ronald Reagan dropping by with gubernatorial gravitas, reminiscing shared westerns. "You outlasted the storms, Bob," Reagan toasted with ginger ale, oblivious to undercurrents. Family rituals anchored final days, Michael's guitar strums of folk tunes, Tessa's readings from The Yearling, Terrence's eager questions on film lore. Ursula orchestrated privacy, shielding against press hounds scenting scandal. In Hyam's final session, Taylor distilled the enmity. "Hate him for stealing my wife's heart when mine beat for country. Coward in love, if not in skies." The biographer, stunned, probed for reconciliation. Taylor waved it off, eyes misting. "Truth's my parting gift." This denouement, steeped in revelation, dissects a life's underbelly, stardom's illusions crumbling under mortality's weight, where grudges, once armor, become epitaphs. Taylor's arc, from heartland hopeful to bedside truth-teller, mirrors Hollywood's paradox: eternal youth on screen, fleeting flesh off it, leaving enigmas that outlive the man. Taylor slipped away on June 8, 1969, at 57. His passing mourned in trade rags as the end of an epoch, obits lauding his impeccable professionalism. Ursula, veiled in black at Forest Lawn, scattered Nebraska soil over his grave, a ritual honoring origins. The confession, embargoed until Hyam's 1970 tome, rippled through cinephile circles, reframing Gable's throne as tarnished. Family thrived in wake. Michael's aviation career, Tessa's equestrian pursuits, Terrence's quiet academia, Ursula remarrying briefly before solitude. Legacies endured, reruns of The Detectives inspiring cadets, scholarships bearing his name aiding farm youths in acting, farm youths in acting, farm youths in acting, farm youths